Hey guys, welcome to the first episode of Audiophile DJ. In this episode, I'll be reviewing a very special IEM to me, the Sony XBA-4 IP in-ear monitor. Um, some background information about these actually. The XBA-4 is Sony's first entry into balanced armature technology. Um, and the XBA-4 is actually the flagship at the time. There was also the XBA-1, 2, 3, and the 4. 4 just means it has 4 balanced armature drivers packed into each ear in one of these in the driver housings. The one I got was the XBA-4 IP. This has the iOS inline remote to make phone calls and stuff like that. But there is also one without this, and it's called the XBA-4, and that one has a J-shaped cable where you wrap it around, so the right cable will be slightly longer than the left one. But this one, just with the inline remote, is just too. You wear it the regular way, and it's just the same length, both the left and the right cables. Got these for $180 at my local Sony store. This is actually a really great deal, especially considering now Amazon prices now. The reason I got it for so cheap was because this was an open box unit. It's a discontinued model as of now, and the Sony stores in BC are all closing down, so they had a huge sale on all of the products, and I managed to pick up this one, and there was the last one left there as well. So yeah, pretty lucky, I would say. There's actually one very important thing to note is the headphone impedance of these IEMs. Because Sony did not use a crossover technology with these IEMs, they have a very low impedance rating of. It has an 8 ohm nominal impedance, which is quite low, just because the cross-driver technology doesn't allow the drivers to act as one, but except act independently of each other. Which will mean that when you plug into different sources, it's very prone to hiss, or it can sound very trouble focused, or it can sound very muddy if you don't have the correct source. So for these, I would recommend a low impedance player. So if you plug this in with a low impedance headphone app, it will definitely sound a lot cleaner, and it will represent all the frequencies a lot better rather than just plugging it in straight from the iPhone. I did notice a considerable amount of hiss plugging into my MacBook Pro, and it sounds completely awful through that. I normally use my Sony Walkman. This is the NW F886, the 32 gig model, part of Sony's high-res audio line. And I think the XBA-4 pairs very well with this. Hardly any hiss coming from this compared to my iPhone 4S. And yeah, the lean sound from the Sony player just really makes the driver shine and separate instruments very well, in my opinion. There'll be a separate review on this, so stay tuned for next episode of this Walkman player. Alright, so moving on to the accessories. This is the retail box that comes with the Sony XBA-4 IP. It's a very simple box, nothing fancy. For $400, you would definitely expect something a bit more higher end, maybe like a flappable case with a cover or something like that. But it's an okay box, just cardboard box. But what is good is what comes inside the box. Actually, Sony provides you 6 pairs of ear tips. So 3 pairs of each, 3 pairs small, medium, and large of the non-foam ones, and 3 pairs of small, medium, large with the foam ones. So the foam ones sound better, so that's why I prefer that, because I use these in transit on the bus, walking around, and I prefer to use the largest size, and it fits quite well in my ears and quite comfortable. The thing I like the most about the packaging actually is the case. It's kind of this like full leather case. It's a hard case, and it fits the IEMs very well. It protects it well. I can just throw it in my bag. Yeah, and it looks pretty classy too, so it's definitely a plus, especially when I'm paying something like this for an earphone. Inside is um, lined with felt. It feels quite nice. Yeah, and overall, like I wouldn't have to buy like a secondary case to keep these, especially like these aren't the most robust IEMs. Um, Especially doesn't have like a detachable cable. The cable is not as thick as I want it to be, so you definitely want to keep good care of these headphones. And yeah, going on to the build quality. Um, for the price I got these at $180, I can't really fault these for being um, not built too well in my opinion for $400. Number one is that everything just feels kind of light. It's a good thing because when you put it in your ears, it never falls. These look big, but it doesn't feel like it's falling out of your ears. But for this kind of price, I would be expecting a bit more premium materials. For example, the cable could be more robust. Um, it's a nice flat cable, so it doesn't tangle at all, and it does not have removable cables, which is a huge downside in my opinion because you wouldn't want a $400 IEM to go wrong. Um, but I mean, it's not a big deal because you can find these on Amazon, brand new for about around $220 to $250, depending where you can find them. And I think for that price, it's justifiable. The build quality, that is. The jack here is a L-shaped jack. It terminates in a 3.5 millimeter, just a regular 3.5 millimeter a mini plug connection. The strain relief is not bad, and it looks quite good. Has like this kind of chrome look to it, and yeah. So I guess overall for build, I'm not very satisfied for the MSRP, but for the price you can get them right now, street price, it's not bad. At first glance, you might think that these are actually quite uncomfortable, but surprisingly, it is very, very comfortable due to the lightweight design. It fits in the ear very, very well. Because Sony packed in 4 balance temperature drivers in the XBA-4, the driver housing is extremely big and it pokes out in your ear, as you can see right now. If I put it on, it pokes out the ear quite a lot and it looks quite bulky. But this is not to say that these are uncomfortable. On the contrary, it's quite comfortable. Very lightweight. I don't feel that at any time it's pulling on my ear or the IEMs will fall out. Especially with the large tips it's very comfortable. I use it on transit a couple hours at a time, and it's very, very comfortable. I just pop them in and that's it. It's even more comfortable than I guess the regular Apple earpods. These are much more comfortable. I feel very secure as well. So yeah, so if you're interested in getting these, don't be put down by the large size. It's very lightweight and very comfortable. Yeah, and going on to the bulk of the review, and I'm pretty sure it's something that you would be something that buyers would be most concerned about is the sound quality actually. As a summary, in the beginning summary actually, I actually quite like these IEMs in terms of sound quality. They're not perfect, but for the price I got them at $180, I do find that it's quite a good deal. But for $349, $400, it's definitely lacking. It's definitely not flagship quality in my opinion. But I mean, this is Sony's first entry into the balanced armature market and balanced armature design. So just for that, if you can find it for around $250 or less, it's a great deal for these. Onto the specifics, I think moving from different frequencies, I think the bass is actually the lower frequencies on the XBA-4. XBA-4 actually is the strongest point due to the fact that it has a dedicated subwoofer driver. I think Sony calls it the super woofer, and it also has a woofer as well for the 2 drivers. And the bass is very, very clean. It's a tactile bass. It's not boomy at all. It doesn't intrude into the vocals, into the mid range, to the strings. Everything is very, very tight, controlled. And the bass is definitely more on the more on slightly bassier side, but not to the point where, as I said before, muddy at all, boomy. It's a great bass. It's definitely something I like, a slightly bassy headphone. and these really fit the build really well. A track I listen to actually for bass um, impactfulness is Drew Hill's Angel, and in the beginning of the track, it has a very deep and powerful bass line with rumble as well. With these, you can definitely hear the deep bass extension with the rumble as well. Everything sounds very full, but never too much, and never interfering with the rest of the frequencies. Moving on to the mids, the mid range of these IEMs are quite good. They're quite smooth. It's not grainy at all, but in comparison to the bass and the treble, I would say the mids are slightly recessed. Maybe that's not something I'm used to because I'm so accustomed to the Shure house sound. I really like the Shure SC series. I've owned almost all of them except for the 846, and the Shure just really exude that luxurious, smooth, detailed, well-textured mid-range. It is, after all, the Shure is a mid-focused headphone, but Sony's are not bad. It's just that when compared to Shure, it's not as smooth or I guess detailed as I would like it to be. Listening to Lamar's track, "What About Love," his vocals could use a bit more body with the XBA-4. Sounds slightly a bit distant, but I guess that's just compared to the Shure SC series. Is as a whole, compared to some other IEMs that I've listened to, these do quite a good job representing the voices of the singers. Whether that be male vocals, female vocals, they do quite a good job. Compared to the RE400, these definitely sound more intimate, slightly more detailed. So we just compare it to the Shure series that is not as good in the mid-range as I would like it to be, but you can't fault these because where these slightly fall short in the mid-range comparison to Shure's, these make up for it in the lower frequencies, especially. Coming on to the treble, this is where this headphone really needs improvement, and I'm happy to see that actually Sony, in their new variant of the XBA-4s, the XBA-40s, it seems that this problem has been solved. I haven't listened to it myself, so I can't comment on that personally, but I've heard that the XBA-40s, Sony fixed the treble harshness on these IEMs. But for the XBA-4s, the treble is very artificial. It's very metallic sounding, and there is quite a bit of a sibilance to the cymbals, to the triangles. It just doesn't sound full at times and kind of thin. But the treble extension on these is good. All the higher frequencies are easily heard. It just doesn't sound as realistic as some other higher end or actually even cheaper IEMs. Depending on the track, I don't find this a huge issue a lot of the times, but some of the times tracks do have a bit of sibilance. And in one particular track by Stevie Wang, so incredible. Every time he says "so," the S will be so harsh and to the point of unbearable. It's almost impossible to enjoy the music because the S, the sound when he sings, it just pierces the ear. It's very thin, very piercing, and does not sound pleasant at all. So overall, the treble and the high frequencies could be improved quite a bit, especially for Sony. It can be tuned a bit. It could be tuned not as, I guess, not as harsh, and yeah, better balance with the other frequencies as well. So the treble is the weak point of the XBA-4. So in terms of on the sound spectrum, frequency spectrum, actually, the bass is the best on these headphones. Is the strongest point. The mids come second, and the treble comes a far third because it just really lacks that realness, the natural sounding treble that you would expect from something from a Sony's flagship. But at the same time, this was Sony's first entry into the balanced armature market, so I guess the tuning is not perfect yet. And from the looks of it, the XBA-40 has been tuned in a better way so that the treble isn't as harsh. So if you were to look at getting the XBA-4s, the XBA-40s have a very, very similar sound signature except slightly natural sounding treble, and I would recommend those any day over the XBA-4s. So as a whole, what do I think of these, the Sony XBA-4? I think that for the price tag, $349 without the inline remote, and $400 with the inline remote, these are definitely not flagship quality in my opinion, but nevertheless they are very great sounding headphones. For the price you can get them right now, $200 to $250, and even for the price I got them, $180 Canadian, is it's a steal of a price for these. Overall, it's a very, very fun, engaging sound to listen to because of the great instrument separation. The imaging is great as well. The soundstage is quite closed, but not too forward in your ear. Everything is panned out correctly, and everything just sounds coherent. So, but definitely not a wide soundstage by any means. This is my go-to IEM for anything that's modern music. I would say EDM, hip hop, R&B. It just does everything well, especially for EDM. These are very fast drivers in my opinion, and the quick bass, the quick decay on the bass really makes it a very engaging listen for electronic music. Everything just sounds bouncy, happy. The artificial highs on this actually work quite well in my opinion with electronic music, because you can just hear all the artificial sounds that were mastered in the recording through Ableton or whatever, and just it's meant to sound artificial. So it's, you know, I guess it's a good quality but a bad quality at the same time on these earphones. For every other type of music, it's acoustic, singer-songwriter, stuff like that. For rock is good as well, but for anything more natural sounding, I really prefer something with a more forward mid-range vocals, and something that's not as artificial sounding. But overall, the XBA-4s are a good all-rounder with a very detailed sound, impactful bass, smooth mid-range. It's just lacking a bit on the highs, so which don't make it quite near flagship quality in my opinion. So here it is, the Sony XBA-4. This is actually my first video reviewing products on YouTube. So if you like this video or found it informative or helpful, definitely give this video a like, comment on it, give me some feedback as well on what you want to see next. I'll try my best to make that happen. Or if you, I guess if you felt that I was lacking something in the review, please let me know as well. I will definitely take that into consideration for my future videos as well. Yeah, please like the video, subscribe, share with your friends, family, and yeah, that'll definitely help the channel a lot grow, and then hopefully I'll be able to do more reviews like this and provide better quality content in the future. Thanks again, and I'll see you around later.